Extra camping, a frowned upon strategy. Arguably the most universally hated playstyle in the entire extraction genre. Many assume its appeal lies entirely in their malice, the desire to inflict pain, harvest salt, or trigger tantrums for fully grown adults. No, the true appeal is much deeper. It is about discipline. The common consensus is that extra camping is brainless. You sit in a random bush for 40 minutes, collect your unearned rewards, and leave. The community believes it requires zero skill. But they are wrong. Extra camping demands meticulous preparation, deep macro analysis, and above all, absolute patience. The definitive win condition of an extraction shooter is in your kill count. It is in the market value of your loot and your secure container. It is survival. Until your screen fades to black at the extraction zone, you are entitled to absolutely nothing. Modern first-person shooters have become hyperkinetic. Movement shooters, to be precise. Environments where speed is heavily incentivized and standing still for a single second is treated as a mechanical failure. But extraction shooters rewrite those rules. Here, the sandbox is intentionally punishing. Every micro choice carries permanent consequence. Even when you stack every variable in your favor. You can still lose everything. When you introduce that level of risk to a high-stakes economy like Arena Breakout or Tarkov, patience ceases to be passive. It becomes a weapon. People often ask me, why sit in a corner for 30 minutes when you can actually play the game? Why not improve your mechanical skill? Chase high valuable targets and increase your net worth? The answer is simple. Execution. I have no desire to sprint across the map, testing my latency and reflexes against the entire server. I prefer to test my patience. I prefer to prove that velocity loses to positioning. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fatal. The dopamine of perfection. To operate as a professional extra camper, you have to completely reprogram your mindset. You cannot view the map as a PvP addict chasing the next engagement. You must view the map as a tactician dissecting a layout. You must study the rotation routes, map flow, time thresholds, and a human psychology to an extreme degree. You convert theoretical knowledge into a cold practical trap. And if the trap fails, you don't rage. You analyze the variables, refine the angle, and wait again. When hours of planning, prediction, and pure discipline culminate in a single, flawless 3-second execution, that is where the true dopamine lies. Everything happened exactly as I predicted. That is why I camp extracts. Ballistics and utility. Execution relies entirely on tool section. Professional extraction camping is not random. It requires an advanced understanding of ballistics, terminal velocity, and armor penetration. You must know exactly when to bypass a target's tier 6 ballistic plate by focusing entirely on high flash damage ammunition targeting exposed limbs. In Arena Breakout Infinite, the shooting range ceases to be your playground. It becomes a laboratory. Long-range interception or close-quarter ambushes. Your weapon platform must be an extension of your intent. There's an old military adage: if you maintain your weapon will maintain you. But a weapon is only as lethal as the cartridge it fires. Fitting a rifle substandard ammunition against heavily armored opponents is mathematically failure. Utilize the shooting range not to practice your recoil control, but to map the exact threshold of your weapon's lethality. Humans evolved as a terrestrial, ground-based predators. For millennia, our survival depended on scanning the horizon for immediate front-facing threats. Because of this, the human brain utilized cognitive shortcuts to preserve mental energy. It predicts patterns. It filters out the background to focus only for what it expects to see. And in modern gaming, where audiences crave for instant stimulation, a player's attention span is highly compromised. They sprint blindly, desperate for the next engagement. This is where positioning becomes absolute. When you choose an ambush location, you are not merely hiding from the enemy's eyes. You are hiding from expectation. If you understand the limits of human perception, the environment becomes your greatest asset. You don't just win the fight, you dictate it before they even know they are in one. Resource management and utility. Weaponry alone does not guarantee a successful ambush. Chaos does not bow to intent, and an operational environment can degrade in a matter of seconds, so you must prepare for every variable possible. First, metabolic sustenance. Even a calculated hunter is bound by biological limitations. A prolonged ambush requires endurance. Bringing target hydration and caloric rations is non-negotiable. The clock is your ally, and a target can present itself in the final threshold of a raid. Second, the illusion of protection. In an environment where every adversary utilizes high-tier armor-piercing ammunition, physical ballistic plates becomes a statistical irrelevance. Body armor is designed for those who actively seek kinetic engagement. It is a mitigation of failure, a gamble, and we don't gamble here. We secure guarantees. The absolute best armor in the game is absolute concealment. And finally, tactical deception. Sound is a currency. Throwing an explosive or flash grenade into a specific sector isn't just about damage. It's a mechanism to exploit the physical flaws on standard players. They hear a detonation and their conditioning forces them to chase the sound. You are not throwing a grenade. You are setting an audio trap. The trap has sprung. The execution was flawless. But you have not won. The moment a high target drops, the dynamic of the sector changes. You are highly vulnerable while transferring the assets from their corpse to your inventory. A single micro failure in vigilance can instantly transform your masterclass into someone else's windfall. You must always establish a secondary exfil route. Every deployment zone features multiple exfiltration parameters. Memorize their conditions and keep a backdoor open. Utilize pharmacological stimulants to artificially enhance your strength and endurance thresholds, ensuring that carrying a massive influx of heavy looted hardware does not compromise your mobility. We don't improvise here. We execute a calculated sequence from infiltration to departure. Discipline must be maintained until the exact millisecond the situation concludes. It's not your assets until you cross the threshold, and just like the prey you just left behind, you are entitled to absolutely nothing until you make it up alive. The ultimate reality. At the end of the day, if this methodical breakdown has failed to alter your perspective of my tactics, that is perfectly acceptable. I am not here to justify a playstyle. Consider this as a diagnostic warning. To be entirely candid, I do not care for what you think, for what you believe, or how you feel about morality in a simulated warzone. I only care about what's inside on your backpack. So keep your focus sharp, check every dark corner, scan every elevation, because when you step into my sector, I will not hesitate. Survival is exclusively your responsibility, and I'm not going to be accountable for your emotional experience. You chose to enter on an unforgiving ecosystem. Do not expect a hospitable environment. If you appreciate this analytical approach, subscribe, leave a like, and share your perspective below. Negative reactions are still operational feedback. My operational sequence from this deployment is complete, but yours begins the moment you head for exfiltration. So ask yourself before your next raid, are you gonna be a moral warrior? Or are you gonna survive?